Good morning.
Are you blessed today?
Are you blessed? Absolutely. Welcome to Unity of Kona. My name is Nick.
And my name is Mark Paul.
And we've got Larry Sire and Reverend Deborah Knowles joining us today, and all of you joining us on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. Thank you so much for being here. I wouldn't want to be absolutely anywhere else at this moment.
Amen.
So let's start today by standing, and we'll say our affirmation for the month of August. And we'll say it once. I seek and find peace in the silence. I am grateful. With meaning, everybody, come on. I seek and find peace in the silence. I am grateful. Now stay standing and let's sing our anchor song, Stand Together.
By the way. Good morning. Today's daily word is free. Centered in spirit, I am free. At times, I may feel restrained by my circumstances. I have commitments to keep, bills to pay, and my inner critic to calm. I may wonder how to get out of this stagnant state. Then I turn to God for guidance. I shift my focus from lack to abundance. Freedom comes from within, and I have the power to create a sense of freedom in my life. A change in my attitude often is all I need to be free. I also may change the way I communicate to free myself from frustration. Instead of keeping things bottled up, I share my feelings and needs openly. I am empowered to ask for what I need. When it's my turn to listen, I am compassionate. I breathe before reacting and respond with love. Centered in spirit, I am free. You have made me stride freely, and my feet do not slip. 2 Samuel 22:37. Again, today's daily word is free, and our affirmation is centered in spirit, I am free. Together? Centered in spirit, I am free.
All right, so we're going to visualize a beautiful heart, and we see this heart moving in and around and through each one of us, moving through our thrift store, back into Sunday school, just seeing our whole Unity Center in this heart. And in that heart is every one of us. And in our heart is the love, the caring, the compassion, that creative spirit that is God in us. And so just take a moment to breathe in our heart, allowing all of that love to come forth and manifest right here and right now. And if you know of anyone in need of prayer, any circumstance in your life or in our world in need of prayer, just see them in our heart, surrounded by this love, this caring and compassion. And we just hold them in our heart as we sing the prayer for protection. Wonderful. 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 Thank you, Larry, so much. And usually he doesn't play on this third Sunday, but Mary Ellen will be with us on the last Sunday of the month, this month. And Francine will, when she comes back to Hawaii and visits, she will surely grace us with her voice. We're so blessed. And how is everyone today? Good. Good. Happy? Been meditating every day? Yes. Do I hear yes? I just saw some nodding of halfway heads, you know. Yeah, so have you been doing 20 minutes? Is it working? Is it changing you? Yes. That's awesome, isn't it? Isn't it just a wonderful thing what happens to us when we take time to be centered? How many of you can feel it when we're doing our meditation, when we go into the silence? There's a shift in the room, isn't there? And that's consciousness. So consciousness takes another turn in another direction. Instead of, now we're all busy in our mind, you know, what are some of the thoughts you have right now? I wonder what she's going to say. Oh, my skirt's too tight, you know, whatever it might be. All those things that we have in our mind. How many of you are thinking about the list you got to do later on in the day? Yeah, Herman's doing that. Yeah, so that's what happens when our conscious mind is here. And it's sort of like when you're in a classroom and all the kids know the answer. And what do? I know, I'm going to do it, I got it. And that's what happens in our head. And when you think that we have 60,000 of those thoughts every day running around, and we call it the monkey mind sometimes, what do we need to do? We've got to have something to work in this world that will help us to not feel a little scattered and crazy. And then when we have that insurance, that knowing that comes inside of us, we can do anything. We can move those mountains, of which I've talked about many times. Those mountains are all the things that we have in our way that block us from our best and highest good. So what are some of the things that you've noticed that have changed in you in the last couple of weeks since we've been really focusing on being in the stillness? Anyone? Anyone? Oh, Nick has one.
Just handling stressful situations.
Handling stressful situations. That is the key beauty of meditation, is that somehow when things happen that are difficult, you have a knowing of how to deal with it. It's very, very beautiful. And it also happens in times when they're just wonderful, when things are going great. You appreciate that even more. What else? Who else has something? Vince, yeah.
I notice when I'm working at the computer and I'm really, really focused, time goes by much faster and I don't tire so easily.
Yes.
It's like when I'm focused, it doesn't seem to be work anymore. It's just that I'm doing something.
Yes.
It's not like I'm beating myself over the head with a hammer to keep going. It's just that I'm just doing it and it's done.
It happens.
And I'm not tired from it.
Except you're not tired because you're in the flow. How many of you have experienced that? When you're doing something and you're really focused with that experience. And then you're like, wait, that was how long? We've all heard it said before. And I know for me, there were 3 things that happened in my life besides having my children where I had to focus on that. But when I learned and experienced painting, oil painting, and I remember that feeling when all of a sudden it felt as if my hand extended and became the hand of God on that canvas. It was so powerful. And it's like, for that moment, I knew how to do it. And then I went back to class and learned how to do it the way that they wanted me to do it. But for that particular moment in time, it also happens with me with fishing. I call it the Zen of fishing. And when I took golf lessons. Like when I was in that zone of being one with the ball and one with the fish, nothing could go wrong. Even if it did go wrong, you just know, you have that sense of knowing how to handle and be one in that moment. That is the beauty and the gift of meditation. Charles Fillmore wrote this about going into the stillness. Last week I shared with you what Myrtle Fillmore said, and there's some more of those little inserts on the table if you'd like one. But Charles wrote this: the stillness is a mental state of infinite peace, rest, and tranquility, where man's senses are hushed and he abides in God. Isn't that beautiful? So when you go into that place of stillness and silence, and the more that you do it, the better you get at it. And sometimes it's challenging, is it not? But think about it, as we go through this process, when you reach that 21-day period, the 30-day period of going at a regular time to your place of meditation, your being begins to look forward to you coming to that time. And it's so beautiful because we have a wonderful unity song called Be Still and Know That I Am God. And that's what we want to focus on, is that moment and that time and that place to just be still. Last night when we got home, and it was like, I just felt tired. Because sometimes if I get home from doing the thrift store and all kinds of things at 7:30, I'm like, I just need to get centered. How many of you feel that way at the end of a day, but you're not ready to go to bed yet, but you just want to get rejuvenated? And I knew I had things I had to do to get ready for today. And so I told my husband, I just got to go lay down. And so I put on my You Pray app, of which I'll do that anytime during the day. And I just laid there, then I put on my calm meditation music, and for about a half an hour or 45 minutes, just laid there and listened and was still. And I began to feel refreshed and rejuvenated, got up, and it was like, okay, I have what I need to do, which is a clear mind. How many of you, when you get tired, you can't think straight? Do you hear people saying that? I need to go to bed, I can't think straight. We say that. Or those senior moments, right? I don't like to say those words, do you? Because then I put myself in a race consciousness of senioritis, and we're just a little out there. But we want to be present. And the way to be more present is to go into the stillness. And in the silence, I wanted to share with you a few things that Unity teaches that meditation is not. And how many of you have heard that maybe when you meditate, you want to go for the altered state of consciousness? Well, we don't teach that. We say that it's not that. It's not an altered state of consciousness, nor is it a high. How many of you do feel high after you go through meditation? Sometimes we do, but that's not what we're looking for. And it is not an attempt to solve any problems. How many of you go into a meditation time and want to fix something? Does it get fixed? Usually not. But there's another way. You can do the heart math solution for that, and it will fix it for you. I can tell you that. So I highly recommend that. But it's also not an escape for reality. Have you ever been with someone that says, I got to go meditate right now? And they really need to be doing something else? Or they said they were going to do something else, but then they're going to go and do their thing when they're supposed to do their thing with you. So we have to know that sometimes we don't want to escape from reality. And how about the people? There are people who can meditate for hours and hours and hours, day after day. And it's not something that we support, but you might be able to do that, those of you who can. And it's your choice of what you want to do, but we don't want to do it in order to escape from where we are in the present moment. It's not self-hypnosis, and it is not prayer. We talked about it many times, that meditation is the listening aspect of God, and prayer is the talking, where we communicate with the God of our being. And Unity's definition of meditation is this: it's the conscious direction of one's attention to the inner self. And that's what we want to be doing, is consciously going within to that. We call it the secret place of the Most High because that's how Jesus taught it, was to go to that place, not a physical place, but your oasis. And how many of you know what an oasis is? When you think about you're so thirsty, and then there's that oasis in front of you. What is it going to do for you? It's going to quench that thirst. And if you can look at your meditation time, your time of going within to that secret place, as that oasis, it's the opportunity to align yourself once again with spirit. OAS, opportunity to align with spirit on your inner self. That inner scale of you that is where you want to reside. And as you do that, you get to move forward. I have this cute little story from a book by Eknath Eswaran, and I hope I didn't butcher his words, but he talks about how many of you played musical chairs when you were kids? And when we all did, right? So we could do it right here and right now. And would you start panicking? Because if we made a circle of chairs and you're the one person that isn't going to get a chair, how are you going to start feeling? Those Unity people, they're not fair. Have you ever watched kids take over when there's musical chairs? They get a little aggressive, don't they? And every time you take away another chair, what happens? We start having anxiety. We start thinking, oh my God, they're going to get it and I'm not. And those games that we played as children, that particular one, it is a reflection of how our world can be today. We think we're not going to get a space. We think someone's going to take it. Someone's going to push me over to get that chair. Someone's going to push me over to take something from me. You know, when we think about, just think about that musical chair game. Did someone end up getting hurt sometimes? Yes. Did chairs fall over and you fell over with it? Yes, because we want to claim what is ours. And how many of you didn't like playing musical chairs? When I read this story, I went, yay, there's other people like me. I never liked that game. And I remember we had to do it in Girl Scouts. It was like every week. And it wasn't fun because someone got hurt usually. And you tried to be a good Girl Scout while you're playing musical chairs. That's an oxymoron, you know? You're supposed to be kind and loving and supportive. Girl Scouts do all these great things. And there you are trying to push someone out of the way. And life can feel like that sometimes. Do we want to push our spiritual self aside sometimes? Do you ever do that? In your day, it's like, I don't have time for this meditation right now. Do you ever say that? I can't possibly spend 20 minutes a day. Do you tell yourself that? Sometimes we do. And so if you can think about the whole musical chair thing, we want to know that there is a time and a place for everyone and everything, and enough seats for everyone to sit in their right and perfect place, which is the holy ground on which you stand. That is what we want to do with our prayer and our meditation time. And so I invite you, as you move through this time this week, to increase it, your consciousness in that moment. Remember last week when I shared with you how I found this little piece of a puzzle piece of jewelry that said, I am joy. And all week it's just stayed in my mind of that's truly the center of our being. Joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. And when you feel that joy in your being, and it bubbles up inside of you, and you want to move forward into life, that's what we're here for, is to share that experience with others, to no longer be afraid to be marching to a different drummer. How many of you see yourselves as different in the world? We are. We truly are, because we're willing to go on a higher road, to take another way to find the truth, to do other things in our day that make us feel whole and complete. All of the things that we do, exercising, eating right, getting enough sleep, being in the right relationships, sharing and loving and caring and doing all of those things, they make us feel whole. And we can get angry. Are you ever around anybody who's really mad? Is it fun? Do you want to be around that person? But yet, if you meditate and pray, you can learn how to handle it. And sometimes you just have to walk away. Is that hard for some of us? To walk away from people we love that might be not very nice to us? Yes, it is. But we're here to serve ourselves and to serve the God of our being, and to allow ourselves through this time of prayer and nurturing to feel loved. And so when times are stressful, go to that oasis. Remember that you have the opportunity to move into that place to feel refreshed, even in difficult times. This week, I don't know if you felt like I did because we had those back-to-back storms that were coming. I felt a little bit anxious sometimes. Did you feel that way? When I went to Costco and, how much food have we got stored up at our houses right now? Enough to feed the neighborhood. And our water and all the things that we do in case there is a hurricane. And so I found myself wanting to just be more calm and relaxed in the midst of all of it, and to spend more time organizing myself to be true to who I am and not worried about what might happen. And I remember the last few days, it was like, I don't want to hear a report anymore. Did you ever feel that way? Just didn't want to hear any more about the storm that didn't happen. We were blessed. We had some rain, which we so need. So it was really a blessing. So every time it rained, I was like, thank you, God, because it's so beautiful today. But driving down the mountain was just a beautiful experience this morning. And if I had been anxious and stressed about something, I wouldn't have been able to see or enjoy that moment. And so that's what going within, going into the silence can do for you. It can give you new eyes to see the world around you. And that is what we're here for, so that we can see ourselves in each other, the joy, the love, the caring and compassion that we have. We want to move forward. And I invite you to take that 20 minutes a day, to do it every day for the rest of the week, so you can experience that joy and that love automatically, because it will become more automatic the more that you go into the stillness. I came to Unity, I often say this, because of Myrtle Fillmore and her ability to pray and to go into the silence. And she did it every day, for 2 hours a day, sometimes. Charles Fillmore went into forgiveness for 30 minutes every day before he went to sleep. We can do that too. We can take what it is that we're longing for and ask God to help and show us how to manifest it in our day. And we can only do that by going into that time of prayer and going into that time of meditation, of asking and listening and seeing how it unfolds in our being and in our world around us. And the storms do pass. That's the beauty of living life today. Thank you, everyone.